everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Look Back, where I take a look at reviews that I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, and tell you what I think about them now. So let's start with a year ago, where we were still catching up on playing a lot of new games that came out at Gen Con. Melody and I took a look at Metro. This was actually a reprint of a very classic game about placing trains in a grid and making these train tracks, or not placing trains, but basically making tracks to connect different stations to each other. It's silly, it's loopy, I mean, you're making little loops and stuff, but I really do enjoy it, and some of the little expansions they put in the box help out. Whitehall Mystery. I dropped this one a little bit, and you know why? Because I really liked it. It's a fun game about chasing down. It's kind of like a sequel to Mr. Jack, or I'm sorry, Letters from Whitechapel. But it's faster, quicker. But you know what? I haven't thought about the game since those playing this in reviews. So I had to drop it a little bit because it can't be that great. I like, oh, that's an interesting game, but I think I would rather play maybe one of the other one versus all games. It was very good and great, just dropped a bit. Rising Sun. Now this one hasn't dropped at all. Rising Sun is amazing. I mean, we're getting close to dropping this to a 10. Sam and I were able to play this one right after Gen Con. We had already played it earlier than that, and then since then, I've gotten my copy of the game. I love the game automatically in my collection. Just a fantastic game all around. All right, let's take a look at 5 years ago. Melody and I took a look at Rumble Pie. Just kind of a mess of a game, which is too bad. Where's a good pie game? Give me a good pie game. Then there is... Now, this one's an interesting one here, Cosmic Storm. Now, this is one of the expansions for Cosmic Encounter, one of my favorite games. Now, the rating here has dropped a lot, and I still like it because, hey, it gives more stuff, and it, you know, but here's the deal. I went through recently and ranked all my favorite Cosmic Encounter aliens. I also had too many Cosmic Encounter aliens for my box, so I took some of them out. I took the most out of this set, and I have the fewest out of this set in my favorites. This has maybe my least favorite selection of aliens. And if I was ranking them in the order to get them, this would be the one I would rank last. Showdown Icons. This is a game that has like cards that look like an actual deck of cards. And it's interesting. It really kind of wowed me when I played it. Like, wow, this game was not a game that I was impressed with at all. I mean, by the looks, I was like, it just looks like regular cards. But there were some good things about it. Since then, we've kind of tightened up on our ratings. And this 7 is more accurate to what I think about it. Here's another big drop. Doesn't look like that big of a drop, but the Pathfinder Adventure card game. I still think the game is fine. I still think it's a really interesting game about going through and searching through decks and fighting. They've since come out with a gazillion expansions for it, and I got the first few, and I found that I didn't have any desire to keep playing through them. I didn't have any desire to keep up with it. The system was good, and I liked it, but it started feeling samey to me, and I just didn't like this card game as much as I would maybe just playing some Pathfinder. Then we have Dread Curse. This is a really interesting game in the Citadels style of games where you're trying to move things around and get a curse and have different roles. I like this. It's just a typical Smirk and Daggers type game. 7-card Slugfest. This is a silly game that I think me and Melody are some of the few people in the world who like it. Where you're playing cards down as fast as you can, you know, basically punching each other. Then you turn those cards over and resolve what happens for each fight. And I just think it's a fun, silly game that's very enjoyable. Lost Legends. Here's another one that's dropped slightly because this is a great drafting game. I like it a lot, but it's hard. As in, you will probably die your first game going through this, and I wish it was a little easier because it would be easier for me to get it to the table, to play with people. But I still do like it. I like the idea of drafting the stuff that you need to go into a dungeon. Vocabulary expansions. Vocabulary is a party game which is really fun and funny. These expansions really helped add more stuff to it. Unfortunately, the game's out of print now. And then Lord of the Rings, Scoundrels of Skullport. This is an expansion for Lord of the Rings, I'm sorry. Lords of Waterdeep. Very different genre there. Lords of Waterdeep, Scoundrels of Skullport. This really took the game in a very positive direction. I liked the game initially as it was. This cemented it as a fantastic game for me. Adding in this negative stuff that you could get, but this just to get better stuff. It just gave more options over, and also it had more leaders that you could have. I just thought it added a lot of stuff, and I would probably always play with it. 10 years ago, I was not really doing reviews yet. I started my first top 100 series of all time on video. But videos from 10 years ago are coming soon. That's what I have for a year, 5, and 10 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.